Welcome, everybody. John Nervosus here. Hello. Hailing from Washington, D.C. How is everybody? Ooh, getting everything set up here. Oh, all right. I'm going to let the TikTokers on. Give me a moment here. Turn my ringer off from my phone. All right, TikTokers. Who we got here? Glasses. Anybody? Manda. Of course, you're first, Manda. Don't know how you do it. And JR, you're second. All right, guys. Ooh, all right. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, TikTok gods will be kind to me today. You never know. Everybody introduce yourselves, if you would. Just say where you're from for everybody else. Hello. Yeah, Sasha says hi back. She's been begging me a little bit today for attention. So hopefully that isn't going to be the entire broadcast, but I suspect it will. Ooh, hello, Australia. Oh, sorry, just checking my thermometer again here for my apartment. There we go. Or my, not thermometer, whatever you call it, my thermostat. Thank you, Frate. Appreciate that. Oh, man. Oh, my. Hey, everybody, what's going on? I've got my water. We are good. UK, 2 more days of school. Oh, I didn't even think of that. That's true. It's the end of the school year. Right, end of May. Wow. Yes, Sasha got out. We did out and took a nice little walk today. Hey, Jay. I didn't hit your TikTok feed. Was I supposed to hit your TikTok feed? I don't remember. I have no recollection of that. You were notified. Well, that's Cindy. That's a step in the right direction, but I don't know. Oh, hi from my kitchen. Ah, are you behind me? Hey, everybody. Calgary, Canada. Well, I'm glad that it was worked into your day. Thank you, Becky. I appreciate it. Oh, New Zealand. Oh, yeah. I went live this morning for a little bit just for fun, haha. Folks wanted to talk about the Texas shooting, which was a lot of fun. That made for a fun discussion in the comments. So that was fun. I am going to start with that today, though, because it's too big of a story to ignore. Cuba, get out of here. We've never had anybody from Cuba before. Anybody who's at least admitted they're from Cuba. Charlie, or is that Carlitos? Or are you a Charlie? Hi, Maine. Burp. And that's the end of that. Oh, I know. Puerto Rico. Oh, what else? Oh. Hi from Poland. I actually had a nap today, which was good. North Korea. That one I'm doubting. David. Thank you for the crowd. Oh, thanks, Becky. Yeah, I'm going to guess you're not from North Korea. I don't think he's really from North Korea. I think that would be a problem if he were in North Korea. Actually, Sasha News Network isn't bad. I know I've been trying to think of a way, Lithuania. I've been trying to think of a name for the show. The Sasha News Network would be SNN. SNN. We don't have to tell people what it stands for. The Sasha News Network. Oh, everybody's from North Korea today. Well, that's exciting. Oh, my. But, oh, yeah, we go, just so folks know, anybody who's new, we go till around 5 after right now, just to give folks time to get here. So we will start around 5 minutes or 6 minutes after the hour. So that's good. Yeah, TikTok's got a little bit of a better audience today. Thank you, Borderline, for that. Watching from the USSR. No, that's even better. Exactly. That's a throwback. Yes. Oh, the good old days. When I visited the USSR, that was fun. It was fascinating. It wasn't terribly fun. Met some nice people, though, which was good. Didn't like the secret police. They weren't very nice. And the little radio in our room that wouldn't turn off. We were warned about this, that there was going to be a box in the room that was probably going to be like a secret microphone when I was in the Soviet Union in 1984. And we're in our hotel rooms, Interest, I think it was called. Everything was Interest. And there was a little box. And it was on the desk, and like you could turn it louder or softer for music, or it was like one channel, it plugged into the wall, but it didn't plug into the wall. It was like wired to the wall. So there was no way you could like unplug it. And I remember, and I was warned about this, and it was true. You could turn it down, but you couldn't turn it off. There was no way to turn the damn thing off. It was like the epitome of the Soviet Union. Just, I mean, cracks me up now. I was less cracked up at the time. You're kind of going, oh my God, you know, this little box is clearly listening to every conversation we're having. Oh my God. Syndicate's mother was visiting, so he may not be here today. I'm not sure. Although I doubt his mother is awake now, judging by the time over there in Europe. But there is a chance. There is a chance. So, hello, UK and Canadians. All right, guys. Maybe one more minute and we'll start. Hartlepool. I don't even know where that is, Peter. Where is that? Radio Point in Lithuania. Oh, exactly. Sunflowers for our Ukrainian friends here. Oh my. All right, guys. The way we do this is I will give the news for about 20 minutes. Hello, Portland. And then the UK. Okay. It sounded like it. I just wasn't sure. And hello, Sweden. I will do the news for about 20 minutes, tell you what I think is important that happened today. And then we will do questions and answer till around a quarter after the next hour. So that usually gives us a good 45 minutes or so. And usually I go a little later. And then we'll take it from there. The questions, TikTok, and what people are doing, just so you know, on TikTok is whenever we see somebody who's Ukrainian and they let themselves be known as Ukrainian, we shower them with sunflowers, which is the national flower of Ukraine. And if there's a Russian troll, sometimes we shower them with sunflowers too for an entirely different, not as nice reason. Questions on TikTok, you can submit your questions. Strasbourg. Ah oui, t'es revenu. Gig. And Bolivia too. This is good. We're getting countries I haven't seen before. Bolivia, nice to see you here. Okay, Daniel's Ukrainian. Okay, Daniel wants sunflowers, guys. Give Daniel some sunflowers. Oh, we got several of them here. And that dog with blue, oh no, or were you saying you? Dog with blue eyes, you too? Okay, we've got several Ukrainians today. Yeah, he is. And another one. Okay. We've now got a number of Ukrainians in the house. See, they were secret Ukrainians. You weren't telling us. Wow. We had at least 3 on TikTok who weren't revealing themselves. All right. Well, thank you. And the YouTubers are showering you with sunflowers as well. So anyway, yes. So on TikTok, put your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. That's the easiest way to submit a question. Easiest way for me to see it because it scrolls all the questions in a row for me. And on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, etc., use the comment box because that's the easiest way. I thank you in advance for all the little gifts you give on TikTok. I appreciate them. And I will try to do a shout out for all the kind of fun, goofy headdress, blah, blah things. And I will at least try as I'm going to give a shout out because I appreciate those. And on YouTube, anybody who does super stickers, I will try to do a shout out as well. And super chats. I like super questions. Super chat questions, which you pay for because you have paid for it as a gift. I will always get to those questions as the next thing I do, even if we're not even in the question period. And I think that's it. I don't think there's any other intro. Oh, and make sure you thank you for the hat. Make sure you like and follow. That's always very helpful too. So I thought I would start with, I'll do the big recap. People seem to like when I do a recap first. Basically, or in this case, it would be a pre-cap where I tell you what the stories are we're going to talk about today. So let me give you those first, basically the headlines. We're going to start with the Texas school shooting, then talk about the siege of Severodonetsk, the city in the east that's under attack now by the Russians. Very important. Putin fast-tracking citizenship for Ukrainians. More threats of nuclear war from the Russians. Yawn. The defense intelligence estimates of how bad the Russian missiles are. They're really bad. And bad not meaning scary, but meaning they just don't work. How the European Union's dealing with this possible oil embargo of Russia. Israel behaving badly in terms of its help for Ukraine. Russia continuing its blockade of the grain from Ukraine and what it's demanding. How Germany's dealing with the energy crisis caused by Russia. Marks and Spencer retailer making some announcements about Russia. The U.S. ratcheting up pressure on Russia in terms of debt payments. And then a quick little thing about the U.S. election, because we had a primary last night that was not unimportant. But yeah, we'll start with the Texas school shooting. For those of us here in the States, my guess is people are probably pretty up on the details because it's been on the news. It's the only thing that's been on the news all day. Basically, we had yet another mass shooting yesterday. Hi, Remy. Yet another mass shooting yesterday, this time in the state of Texas, at an elementary school, which means a school that is typically kindergarten through 6th grade or so. That would give you ages between maybe a 4-year-old to maybe an 11-year-old child. The attacks occurred mostly in a 4th grade. Actually, I believe they happened exclusively in a 4th grade class. Many of the victims were 10-year-olds because I saw a number of them listed finally this afternoon. 10-year-old children who were shot and killed. Horrible. 19 children are dead. One classroom, correct. Yeah, thanks, Duck. 19 children are dead. 2 of their teachers are dead. The boy, I call him a boy because, I think it's even worse that he was a boy. 18-year-old, I'm not going to call him a man because that almost gives him too much credit. This was a kid, 18-year-old. An 18-year-old went off on his birthday and he bought 2 AR-15s. The gun people get upset when you call them assault rifles. The press has been calling them assault rifles. I don't particularly care. I think worrying about these definitions is silly to a degree. These are basically nasty guns. They are semi-automatic, which means you can go boom, 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 and fire off a hell of a lot at once. This kid had 2 of them he bought on his birthday. He had a handgun, although I believe he pretty much just used the AR-15s. He had 375 rounds of ammunition with him. Body armor, and body armor, is the protective gear that the military wear, is body armor, so that you bulletproof vests and things. He gets to the school. Apparently, he shot his grandmother first, gets to the school. The school guard, there's some kind of a guard at the school, tries to stop him and fails. I don't know why. There were 2 police officers that tried to stop him and failed. They had to call the special tactical team that took a long time to get there. And finally, at half an hour later, it looks like they were able to get the guy. But in the meantime, he got into a 4th grade classroom, barricaded himself in, and killed as many children as he could, 19 children. I mean, that had to be most of the classroom. The Republican governor of Texas held a press conference today. What is typically, Texas is a pro-gun state. What typically is said and what was said again, we joke about it, and I say joke in I don't even know what word to, whether it's sardonic or what the word is, but the comment we make now is thoughts and prayers. Because every time there's a mass shooting in our country, it's always thoughts and prayers. We give our thoughts and prayers, and then somebody else dies. And that's all we do is give thoughts and prayers. This was pretty much a thoughts and prayers press conference. I believe at one point talked about mental health because that's what they always do, the gun advocates. It's always, mental health. We got to worry about mental health and this kind of thing. He did say, and I was watching this live, it could have been worse. The police did such a great job. They stopped him, but it could have been worse. And that was his happy moment of the afternoon, was that it could have been worse than 19 children being killed. During the press conference, former Democratic congressman who is running for governor of Texas, Beto O'Rourke, showed up and started basically shouting questions at the governor, which was interesting, sort of an interesting moment there. It's the same thing. It's always the same thing. There was a statistic CNN was citing, but so far this year in America, we have had more mass shootings than days, right? There has been more than 1 per day. Oh, yeah. A little over a week ago, we had a racist attack at a Buffalo, New York grocery store that left 10 dead. I mean, these things happen all the time in this country. And it's interesting. I did a live this morning just for fun, really. I mean, we didn't want to get into this kind of stuff. I just was checking out the paper and I thought, what the hell? I wasn't saying what the hell. I was saying but people wanted to talk about this. So I talked about it. And, one of the I'm trying to think what I was saying about that with that. I'm forgetting what we were saying about it actually, but it kind of got into a big heated thing, which was annoying because this is one of those issues and actually Israel's another issue like that. You almost can't get into a discussion without everyone becoming nasty. I mean, this is a serious issue. This is a deadly issue, but I'm discussing it. I'm not getting nasty. It was impossible. It was just nasty what was going on in the comments. And what annoys me at this point is, clearly this isn't working. Whatever agreement we've got, whatever interpretation of the Second Amendment, whatever laws, the whole shebang that has been proposed by gun advocates isn't working. We are currently working in a system that they have created. This is clearly not a system that gun control advocates have created in America. It's not. It's not. We are dealing in a very open system. In a few democratic states, we don't have, there are limits on guns that can go on the market to a degree. But in states like Texas, there are not. And, if you could say it's crazy people, you could say whatever it is. But the point is, crazy people in America are getting, let's say it's crazy people for the gun folks, for the pro-gun folks. Let's say it's crazy people. Except the problem is the pro-gun positions have not figured out how to stop crazy people from getting guns. And it's always some young kid. He's always getting this assault rifle or semi-assault rifle, whatever you want to call it. And they're always going and killing massive numbers of people. And at some point, it doesn't make sense. I had somebody this morning in the comments that was defending the idea that an 18-year-old kid should be able to buy military-grade body armor. That this guy, why does an 18-year-old need a bulletproof vest and military quality? Why? And I mean, literally, I thought that was something where people would say, even somebody who's pro-gun would say, yeah, you really don't need a bulletproof vest if you're 18 and living in a city, right? Oh no. This person was like, this is an infringement of my right if I can't buy a bulletproof vest. Well, I've got news for you. Until you figure out how to stop people from going and shooting up everybody and using the bulletproof vest to cause that many more people to die, then we're going to have to try a different way. The problem is we won't, because too many of the gun people control this country's politics. I will say the anti-gun people, the gun control people, do a really shitty job of trying to respond. And, that's where we are. And I mean, I'm kind of like, I can't invest anymore in this issue. I worked on the issue. We're going to Ukraine next. Don't worry. We're going to Ukraine next. But one of the things I said I was doing with this update was when there are big news stories, we would branch off on the other news stories for a bit. So any case, that's all I've got to say about that. I'm kind of over the gun issue. But having said that, if we don't keep focusing on it, then it lets the bad guys win. So, all right, Ukraine. So the big issue with Ukraine right now is this siege that's going on in, real quick. Can these shootings cause a civil war in the States? No. These shootings won't cause a civil war, no, because literally nobody does anything in response to these shootings. There's no civil war. There's no anything. Yeah, no. These shootings aren't going to do it. No. The bigger problem is when political difficulties happen, we've got far too many people that have guns. So we have far too many people who think that it's okay to use a gun to settle their political disputes. That's the dangerous thing. So let's talk about Severodonetsk. This is the town you'll hear a lot about, spelled really difficultly, in eastern Ukraine. It is the easternmost point in Ukraine that is still controlled by the Ukrainians. Okay, everything else east of there, the Russians have. And the Russians are bombarding it from three sides, trying to take control. And once they get control, if they get control, they would they would control eastern Ukraine. So if you look at eastern Ukraine, consider it kind of two halves, more or less. Okay. Well, what is interesting about this is a lot of people are getting very worried that there could be a siege here, just like we had around Mariupol. The Russians are just on all three sides destroying the city, hitting it with artillery, killing everybody, knocking off the water, knocking off the electricity, right? It's the exact same thing all over again. But this was an interesting point I read today, was that the even if they succeed in oh, here we go. Yeah, here's what I read. Western intelligence officials believe, and this was basically, if the Russians are able to, let's say the Russians are able to win, they're able to take the city, so to speak, okay? Western intelligence officials believe that Moscow's forces would face brutal urban combat if they tried to fully capture Severodonetsk, and that they would struggle to mount an offensive deeper inside Ukraine. So the thing is, even if they're doing a better job than the Ukrainians in terms of trying to approach this town, once they get inside the town, they're in for so much trouble in terms of urban combat. And urban combat meaning in private citizens with Molotov cocktails, right? All the citizens being armed. I mean, it's going to be a disaster for the Russians, is what the analysts think is going to happen if they actually try to enter the city. So that's good news for the Russians. Obviously, bad news for the city because it is turning into another Mariupol. And the second thing is, the analysts still don't think that the Russians are going to have much success going from there further into Ukraine. So that's the other issue. So that's why, as we've been talking about the last few days, I keep mentioning how it's not really clear that the Russians have much room to gain much more land. They can gain this town, maybe a little bit more in the area. They're looking to gain a little bit more in the south, around Kherson and Zaporizhia and stuff, but there isn't a lot more room for them. And then what happens next is the culmination, as the military people call it, meaning Russia flips from being on the offensive to the defensive, because they don't have enough weapons. They don't have enough troops. The Ukrainians have basically beaten them down so far that at some point their forces are going to get too tired and have to back off. And that they think that may happen in the next few weeks. Other news regarding all of this: Putin is fast-tracking citizenship for the citizens of Kherson and Zaporizhia. Again, two towns in the south, kind of north of Crimea. This is part of his process of basically nationalizing trying to take over more parts of Ukraine, trying to turn them into Russia. A Russian political analyst, you'll be surprised at this, predicting nuclear war. I think we need to have it has to be like a drinking game we have or something. Maybe not alcohol, because we don't want to talk about alcohol on TikTok and YouTube, but we need some kind of a drinking game for every time a Russian political specialist, threatens nuclear war. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. Well, this guy, Alexander Dugin, was one of my favorites today because his prediction of why there's going to be nuclear war is a particular favorite. Listen to this one. His scenario is that Poland will invade Ukraine. Now, in other words, Poland isn't going to go into Ukraine to help. No. He thinks Poland is going to invade Ukraine. And once Poland steals half of Ukraine and annexes it, and Russia has annexed the other half of Ukraine, border tensions between the Russian and the Polish overlords of Ukraine will cause a nuclear war between NATO and the Russians. I mean, these people are from another freaking planet. I really don't get it, but they're from another freaking planet. The defense intelligence, this was interesting as well, in terms of the efficacy of Russian missiles, not even the efficacy, just whether they even work. The Defense Intelligence Agency, American, thank you, Louis, for that, says that fewer than 40% of Russian missiles hit their targets. Okay? Fewer than 40% of Russian missiles hit their targets. And 20 to 30% of Russian missiles, 20 to 30%, either fail to launch at all. They blow up at launch, or they crash mid-flight. 20 to 30%. And like I said, so 20 to 30% either blow up or halfway through the flight, they just crash. That's 20 to 30. And 60%, to turn it the other way, 60% do not hit their targets. So, I mean, this is good news at least. Thank you, Poppy. The oil embargo, the oil embargo comes and goes, this thing. There was news earlier today. We were hearing all day from NATO that, or not NATO, excuse me, the European Union, that it looked like in a few days, maybe by May 30th, in 5 days, the EU oil embargo would be agreed to. Well, now we're hearing again that the Hungarians are causing trouble. Big surprise. So it's not clear at all what's going to happen. It just keeps going back and forth. Now, I will say this, as much as Orban, the leader of thank you, gamer. Oh, Kana Dens, that was you, or Kana Dezen. As much as Orban is a wannabe dictator, he's not wrong about the extent to which that Hungary imports Russian oil. It's something like, I thought it was like 70% or something. I mean, it's a huge percentage. It really is compared to everybody else. So I get why he needs to be careful with this, but he's also kind of having fun. Like, thank you, Lola. He's having fun like Erdogan is in Turkey a little bit, where I think he's having fun just pulling the strings, But thank you, NATObot. So here was a story that incredibly annoyed me. So Israel has turned down a U.S. request to approve missile supplies to Ukraine. So Israel has rejected a U.S. request to allow Germany to send Spike anti-tank missiles to Ukraine. This was reported by Axios today, which is a good American political newspaper. Spike missiles are produced in Germany with Israeli technology under an Israeli license. So because they use Israeli technology, thank you, Gordon, for that, the Israelis have the right to veto where the weapons go, and the Israelis are vetoing the weapons going to Ukraine. And, and again, I'll say it again, I get that the Israelis have a strategic interest in keeping relations good with Russia, but who else does? The Baltic states, Poland. I mean, it's just kind of, it annoys me. Thank you, Faded, for that, and Downey, both. It annoys me when we give so much to Israel. And I say this as somebody who is I am a supporter of Israel, which makes people mad sometimes on the left, but I am, which is why we get into these. I don't get into fights, but people get into fights when we talk about the topic. But as someone who does not attack Israel as much as a lot of people do, but I also support the Palestinians, and I'm willing to be fair with Israel. Like, woman that journalist who was killed is looking pretty shitty for Israel, and they deserve all the crap they get for it. So that's what I mean. Like, I have no problem calling stuff like that out. But we give Israel so much money and so much support, and we give them our protection. Let's face it. If Israel went to war, we would defend them, and we would. I mean, we know as Americans we would. And we ask them something and they say no. Give me a effing break. Thank you for the hat there. Who is that, Dell? Thank you, Dell. Give me a break. That just ticks me off. In any case, Tyson and Addie, thank you for your input. Oh, okay. Oh, thanks, Addie. Okay, I did not see, but thank you. So Germany. Oh no, Russia. So this was kind of an obnoxious thing Russia did today. So Russia's now saying that it would be happy because Russia's been Russia's been embargoing Ukraine's port on the Black Sea, or ports on the Black Sea, and they've been stopping Ukraine, from exporting its grain. And because of that, Ukraine can't make money, but also the grain is going bad, and there are serious concerns there's going to be a global famine as a result of Russia doing this. Well, of course, Russia's doing with it to screw with the rest of the world and to basically hold them hostage, right? Well, Russia said today, we'd be willing to let the grain go if you would just lift the sanctions on Russia. Now, the US and the Brits already said no way, obviously, that they would do that. What is interesting about that is a few things. One, that Russia is admitting that it's taking the grain hostage. I thought that was interesting, for starters. Two, that, and this was pointed out by, what's his name, Anders Asland, who's very interesting. I follow him on Twitter. a Swedish, I guess, foreign policy guy here in Washington. And he was saying, thank you, JR, for that. He was saying that, isn't it interesting that the Russians are so interested in the sanctions? Basically, if the Russians are trying to negotiate the sanctions away, then it means the sanctions must be working and must be causing them pain. So that's good news. Now, Mike Gordon, I see that it looks as if you tried to buy a super chat question and then didn't put your question in. So if you meant to actually put a question, feel free just to write it as a normal question. You don't have to pay for it, obviously, because you already did. Feel free just to enter it there. And if I don't see it pop up, the moderators will flag it for me. Okay, so feel free to put it in there if you were going to add one. Germany has announced plans to order coal-fired power plants that were due to shut down to be placed in reserve as part of a plan to ensure the country can keep the lights on if supplies of natural gas from Russia are abruptly cut off. In other words, they were going to shut down these coal plants, and they're now kind of keeping them, just keeping them there just in case, and not shutting them down totally, just in case Russia shuts them off, or they need to shut Russia off, I guess, whichever way it goes. And anyway, I thought that was interesting. Obviously, it's not good for the environment, but it sort of shows you how this Russia situation, I think, is changing things. One of the things that's interesting to me with this is think of nuclear power. I've raised this before with my liberal friend. Of course, means left. And, no one's really willing to, oh, thank you, Patty. I've never seen that one before. That was very pretty and very topical. And, I'm a plant guy, so I appreciate that. Patty did this wonderful bouquet for me. Thank you. I've raised the question about nuclear power because if we are serious about climate change, there is and I say this, I would say devil's advocate, but not even devil's advocate. I think it's something that we should be able to have a serious discussion about without sort of the anti-nuclear folks just immediately going, no, 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 no. Thank you, Gemma. Because nuclear power, assuming it doesn't blow up, is pretty darn clean, and it's a good way to get off of coal for sure, which in our country we've had real problems with because we've got the industry and the lobbies and all of that. But I wonder, it's a problem because you've got this coal problem now, obviously, that we're going to have with the Russians in Europe, but also I just think the nuclear thing to me is going to be an interesting discussion moving forward, and whether, especially people on the left, are going to have to sort of start to bite their lips and say, if we really care about climate change, put aside the Russia stuff. If we really care about climate change, maybe we need to bite the bullet on nukes, but the same thing in Europe, that if you really care about getting away from the Russians. Anyway, I know it's a polemical topic, but I think it's something we may have to consider. Harvey just threw in, was there a flag? Harvey just threw in something. Oh, Harvey's got lots of flags. Harvey, let me get my glasses on for Harvey so I'm not squinting here. The BBC is reporting that Russian casualties have just surpassed. I saw that. The BBC is reporting that Russian casualties have just surpassed those suffered in Afghanistan, 90 days compared to 9 years. I saw that, Harvey. The thing is, we were seeing estimates from the U.S. of between like 7,000 and 15,000 or 14,000 casualties after the first month. And if I recall correctly, the Soviet Union's casualties in Afghanistan after 9 or 10 years was on the order of 14,000. Was it 453? For some reason, that number is sticking in my head. But it was around 14,400 or so. And that was about the number that they were telling us that the Russians had after a month in Ukraine. So that's the only reason I didn't report it today, because I saw that, but I thought, well, which one is it? Was it the first month? Was it 3 months? Either way, it's significant because Russia clearly got close to the deaths they had in Afghanistan within a month to 3 months. And in Afghanistan, it took 9 to 10 years. And that was enough to help topple the Soviet state. It caused such problems. Of course, mind you, it took them 9 years to call the problems. Thank you, Adele Real. But, in any case, yes, I did see that, Harvey. Oops. Hang on, guys. Here we go. Was there... Okay, I think that's... Oh, here we go, Tony. I thought I saw something else here. Tony Wilson is asking, I recognize you, Tony. How are you? What happens if Turkey and Greece start scrapping again, meaning fighting? Can we just restart NATO at that point? Yeah, I think that we reboot. We say turn it off, let it sit unplug it, let it sit 5 minutes, and then plug it in again. There's always the risk of Turkey and Greece going after each other. There's always that, they're sort of the worst at having those border things that they do. I mean, I'm not going to blame Greece here because I kind of favor the Greeks on this one, but I'm Greek for whatever that means. But the Turks, as I recall, I did a big paper on this in graduate school. The Turks, as I recall, play a lot of games with the territorial waters and the borders and everything, and it's complicated. Well, yeah, Katerina, look at Katerina Koniosis. I'm kind of guessing you're Greek too. But in any case, yeah, it would not be great. Now would not be, hopefully they don't. Now would not be a great time for it, but hopefully they don't. But Russia would like nothing better at this point. All right, crazy people. Oh, I was quick, the mod on TikTok. I saw out of the corner of my eye, I saw somebody being rude on TikTok, and it was like, bam! Good moderator. Very good moderator. Marks and Spencer, quick little thing here, but Marks and Spencer, the British retailer, just announced today that it is exiting its business in Russia, where it operated about 45 stores with a franchise partner. What is interesting is this is now the third company, right? We had Starbucks, we had McDonald's, and we've got Marks and Spencer who are announcing that they are out, right? That it is not just like all the other companies where they said, oh, okay, we'll pull out of Russia temporarily. Thank you, Hannah, for that. I do always like that little flower hat thing. It's not like the other companies that have said, oh, we'll pull out while the war is going on. They're saying we're wrapping our hands of Russia and we're not coming back. This is three big companies now. And again, 2 American, 1 British. Very interesting in terms of what message this sends to other companies, because, pulling out permanently means it's going to take you a long time to come back in. And that's long-term money that Russia won't be seeing, that basically when the war ends, they're not coming back. So that's sort of a story overall to keep an eye on. I'm going to read this paragraph on the U.S. debt waiver. It is still over my head. Somebody had explained this to me at the beginning. I'm forgetting which one of you did, but now the story is confusing me again. So rather than get it wrong, I'm reading you a paragraph. But the U.S. has ended its key waiver on Russian debt payments. The U.S. Treasury Department said on its website it will not extend the waiver that allows Russia to make payments on its sovereign debt to U.S. bondholders, which could push Russia closer to default. The license will expire May 25th. So I don't even know what that means, guys. I know it means Russia's closer to default. What I don't understand is what exactly we're doing when the clock starts ticking, because I know with the previous concerns about default, there was, or maybe not concern from our perspective, there was talk about it being a 30-day grace period and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know if any of you know, but I wanted to bring it up just to put it out there that whatever it is, the U.S. is getting tougher, which is good. That's a good thing. But let's see what happens. Georgia, really quick. This was the last little stuff. I hope they did steal the Russian money. America can't steal the Russian money, actually. That doesn't work under U.S. law. So we're definitely not stealing the Russian money in that regard. We can't. U.S. law wouldn't allow it. We can freeze their money. That's a different question. But we can't own their money. So U.S. elections, really quick. Thank you, Poppy, for that. The only thing I would mention the U.S. elections that might be of interest to an international audience is so yesterday were primary elections, right? For the primaries, for who of each party gets elected, and then the big election between the two parties happens in the fall, in November, the national elections themselves. So probably the biggest election people were watching was the Georgia governor's race, in which the governor Brian Kemp, the incumbent governor, Republican, was running against David Perdue, who in the primary, and Perdue was selected by Donald Trump. Trump is upset at Brian Kemp because Kemp, who ironically is a conservative Republican, he's a very conservative Republican, but Kemp refused to throw out the election on election night when we had our presidential elections. It's very complicated. We don't even want to go through the details of it, but bottom line is it does matter how many votes you get in the state originally, and then that decides how many electoral votes you get. So initially, your actual votes do matter, and Trump lost by a lot. And not a lot, but he lost by enough. And Trump wanted the governor, the Republican governor, to throw it out entirely. And the Republican governor said, I can't, that's illegal, you lost. And Trump decided he was going to make it his mission. Thank you, Poppy. He was going to make it his mission to make this guy lose. And not only Trump, but a number of, I don't like the word establishment because it's used in a negative sense, but a number of mainstream Republican figures also came to campaign for this Brian Kemp, the guy Trump didn't like, including Vice President Pence, which was very interesting. Thank you, Darian. Because Pence has been playing this cute game where he clearly wants to run for president, but nobody knows if Trump ran in 2024, would Pence run against him in 2024? Pence is still defending Donald Trump, but kind of criticizes Donald Trump about the January 6th insurrection, but he still refers to it as one day in January. So he kind of talks about all the good things they did. And, you know, we had that one day in January, and everyone else is like, you mean that one day in January when you violently tried to overthrow America's democracy? That one day? Anyway, it's interesting, as I said, because Trump's involved, Pence is involved, a lot of things, and the fact that Trump's guy lost, and Trump's guy lost in a landslide. Thank you, Marcy, for that. Lost in a landslide, so that's interesting. Okay, the last little thing I'm going to show you is I pulled up the video on this because I can show you guys, and for you guys, I will show you by this. I had Vlad, my Vlad, not Putin, but my friend Vlad in Ukraine, who's been helping us with all the humanitarian fundraisers we'll be doing, put together a quick video showing the second car we bought, driving into Kharkiv with the groceries and then delivering the food to the food humanitarian group, who's then delivered it to regular people who needed it. And it's just a quick 40 seconds showing our car arriving in town. And if you don't recall, we raised about $10,000 or $11,000 or so to buy 2 cars. We were then donating those cars to the food humanitarian group in Kharkiv called Kharkovu Mir, and filling the cars with food, and again, food that we bought with your guys' donations, so that we would give the cars and the food to the humanitarian group in Kharkiv so they could not only have a lot of food to deliver, but also 2 more vehicles. Thank you, Poppy. That's a perfect little thing for this. So they would actually have more vehicles to distribute even more food, because even though the Russian bombing has really decreased a lot in Kharkiv, a lot of people have come back and they still don't have food. So now the food crisis is even greater. Anyway, this is a neat little video they did. I will show you here first. Let me see. Now tell me, is the sound actually working on YouTube? TikTok, hang on a second. Is the sound working on YouTube? I think the sound is just music, but give you guys 1 second, I'll show you. Okay. Oh, stop that. Almost done. Cool. All right, now I want to show the guys here, but I just liked it. Vlad, they put together a nice, they've got a new guy who knows videos and stuff. And I thought it was nice too, because I was like, I'd love to have just some more, frankly, proof to give people of the stuff that's happening. So this is the car, more or less the car entering Kharkiv and taking the food out and delivering it, and then delivering it to some of the people. Oh, hang on a second, make sure my volume's up. There we go. Start this again. 1 moment. Oops. Boop. Sorry. Come on, what are you doing here? There we go. All right. There we go for you guys. I love that kid. And that's the name of the group, Harkovo Mir. Look at how many people. Anyway, I mean, it's kind of a promo video, but I just thought it was nice. And again, I just wanted to sort of show more pictures and videos of stuff happening with that. So, I mean, well, great work for everybody. I mean, you're the ones who donated, so thank you to you all. But I know, and the music too makes it so I'm lowering my light now because now the sun's starting to set, and I can. Not that it makes it any cool. It doesn't need to be cool in here. Okay, that's it for the news. I will do a recap at the end when we are done. But we can now do more Q&A. I kind of do the recap at the end. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me, but we've been waiting until sort of we finish with the Q&A. Thank you. Oh, JR and Samantha, a double whammy. I always like lowering the hat. I think it's kind of like, like, thank you, ma'am. But I've been keeping the recap till the very end. Doesn't really matter, but all right, guys, let's jump in with the questions. As always, I will start with the Q&A on TikTok. Enter your questions at the bottom, if you guys would, in the Q&A box. And on YouTube and Facebook and everything, you can use the comments box. And on YouTube, if you want to do a super chat, which would be very nice of you. As I said, I will always get to those first. Are we in the beginning of the second Cold War? Oh, I think so. Isaac Standen asks. I think so. I mean, what do you guys think? Actually, can I do the thing with the poll I don't like is I don't get, wait, where's the, okay, but where's the start? You have to remove the pinned, but there's no, wait a minute. Okay. Sorry, I like putting up little polls and things, but in progress. It's not in progress. End the poll. Oh, I see. I've got to kind of tell. This is very confusing, this poll thing on TikTok. I don't want it in progress. End it. End it. There we go. Oh, I guess we can call this. Okay, so I guess. What is that? Oh, I see. Okay, so are we in a new. Well, don't answer yet. People are. Why are you voting? You're voting, and I haven't even told you like the question or anything, you goofballs. All right, so I'm trying to do this on TikTok. Don't vote until I tell you what it is. All right. I'm going to at least try this on TikTok. I don't think I do a poll with you guys. Are we entering a new Cold War with Russia? The smiley face, well, the smiley face because it's red means yes. So because the red is bad. So the red smiley face is yes, and the other side is no, even though the color's off. But let's say red is bad. So red means yes, we're entering a new Cold War. So what do you think? Red is new Cold War. Blue is not a new Cold War. I happen to think we are, but don't let that influence you. All right. And now, Phil, you guys and Aiden, I see your question. Oh, and Jess just saying thank you. Thank you, Jess. I appreciate that. Well, it's already like 93 to 18 in favor of, not in favor of Cold War, but yeah, the Cold War, that's where I am on this. I mean, and you guys feel free to weigh in the comments too on TikTok and Facebook and everything. But I mean, to me, this is absolutely another Cold War. You know, I think absolutely. And what worries me is, I mean, this is the Soviet Union is back, and that really worries me too. I think we're back to where we were with, I mean, I always say this, I've said it before, but people younger than me, and maybe people younger than 40, who really have no memory of the Soviet Union. Russia and Vladimir Putin are giving you a wonderful introduction to the Soviet Union. You are now witnessing what we had to deal with, our generation, maybe not mine because I was a kid. I mean, I was alive. I went to the Soviet Union when I was 19, but I didn't have to deal with it because I wasn't working in policy. Yeah, that's not true, actually. I started working in policy right when the Soviet Union was still around. But you're starting to see why it is that a lot of us thought the Soviets were so god awful. And why, your parents' generation and maybe beyond that were so critical of the Soviets. This is what we had to deal with. And this is absolutely, whether it's here to stay, we'll see. This is the Cold War. You are witnessing the Cold War right now. Aiden, do you think Russia invested more in cyber weapons because they know they can't win a physical war with us? What is the effect? P.S. As a young gay man, I truly appreciate your representation. Oh, thank you, Aiden. I appreciate you appreciating. That's sweet of you. Thank you. The thing with the cyber weapons is, where are they? Right? I mean, this is what people have been asking with Russia. Everyone, I mean, I didn't necessarily know, but the experts on this were saying that they really thought we were going to have that they thought that Russia was going to come after us way earlier with the cyber attacks, and they haven't been. And even with Ukraine, they did some stuff with Ukraine, but it's not like they shut the whole country down, So I don't even know. I mean, it's possible that we circumvented them and we just don't know. I mean, that's possible too, or it's possible that Russia, which I think would make sense, that Russia kind of went, if America were to consider a cyber, for example, if Russia attacked our banking system and took down our banking system, would we interpret that as an act of war? I would think we should personally. And then what happens? And the Russians may actually, what is also possible, by the way, is what if Biden had his people tell the Russians behind the scenes, if you don't want to have Ukraine, if you don't want to see Ukraine get MiG fighter jets, if you don't want to see a no-fly zone, then you better lay off the cyber warfare. Because if we see one bit of cyber warfare against Americans, and even if it's some third-party group who you say you don't control, all bet we are giving Ukraine everything it wants. And it's possible that some of those things Ukraine isn't getting, they're getting because of that. It's possible. Hi from Kiev. Sasha is resting, or Kiev, I should say. Sasha is resting, but hello. Somebody saying hi from Kiev. TikToks, give her. I'm guessing some love. Give her some sunflowers. So that's my take on it. I just feel like, where are these vaunted? Now, having said that, supposedly the U.S. was behind Russia in the cyber stuff, which is scary, right? That we're supposedly not as good as them. But where is it? Also, the last little thing, not to go too long on this, but it is not clear that the Russians knew how bad their military was. Thank you, Sharon. A lot of the military problems they're having, people think, is that everybody stole the money. And I mean, even if you stole the money in your portion of the military, you may not have known that they stole all the money from the other portion of the military. You know what I mean? So it's not clear whether the Russians even knew to what degree their entire military just sucked. It's not clear. So I don't know whether they even were smart enough to think that way. Now they might be. Now they may be thinking, first of all, now you better believe the Russians are thinking we need drones and we need a massive anti-drone program as well. They're thinking that. They're thinking we need massive anti-corruption and probably cyber weapons. But I'm going to guess that they may not have even known, Now, sorry, but Crust is saying Russia's never had a good handle on computer tech. They farmed out all the hacking. Did they, though? Because, we always talked about how Russia was ahead of us on the hacking. So, But it makes me wonder whether we threatened them and Russia's kind of backing off, because I think they are. But I also think, like I said, that I think this has probably been a surprise for Russia as well, as to just how bad this has been. Just how bad just how bad, anyway. Jess, thank you for that. I may have thanked you already. I did thank you for that. I'm losing my mind, Jess. Sorry. I'm like reading things. I'm reading the comments as I'm talking to you. Thank you, Stacktown. I like to do my little. I like my thank you, ma'am. I do with that hat. Just looking here. Lots of rainbows. Lots of. All right, let me grab another question. Come on. Question. Oh boy. Orcs out of pilots. The Ukrainians shot down a 63-year-old pilot? Get out of here. Is that true? Did the Ukrainians shoot down a 63-year-old pilot? Thank you, Fade, for that. And there was something else. What did I miss? Didn't somebody... Sorry, I want to make sure I didn't just miss. I think somebody else just put... Oh, cap. Oh, Hannah gave me a cap. That was it. I knew somebody else gave me something there that I missed. Thanks. I was looking at the Q&A and I missed it. I did not see that about a 63-year-old pilot. That's really funny. Look, we know the Russians are in trouble, right? They just changed their law to permit men over 40 to join the military. Now, it got rid of the age limit entirely. The age limit was 18 to 40, and they got rid of the limit entirely, but they've clarified that they're not implementing the under 18 yet, but they are implementing the over 40. Oh, this is the guy that was part of the Wagner group. Okay, that's different then. Yeah, that's different. If he was, thank you, Ideal Real. that was part of the Wagner group, the crazy murderous mercenaries. Okay, I see. That's different. Yeah. Boy, there's a question for everybody. Lindsay's asking like good. She's asking good final exam questions. Lindsay asks, what lessons has the world learned since February 24th? And thank you, Flower Lady. You know I love that. That's what question. What lessons has the world learned since February 24th? Wow. Gosh. I mean, we learned that Russia's back. They're a threat again. We clearly learned about their weapons, meaning that the Russian army isn't all that. We learned that NATO has the ability to be stronger and more unified than we expected, which is good. We've learned a lot about the drones. We've learned that drones are the new age in warfare. I think that surprised people to the degree, that that drones have become so crucial. I mean, then you get to I don't know. I wonder what else in terms, what else in terms of sort of other lessons. I'm trying to see like what other people are saying here. The world leaders are easily intimidated by Putin. I think so. It may also be that world leaders are easily intimidated, period. Don't underestimate Ukraine. That's very true. And actually, I would go even more than don't underestimate Ukraine. This is something that I've said before with regards to, thank you, Airside, for that. I've said this with regards to political elections. And I don't want to give the long story again today, but basically before a really big election back in 1994 where Democrats lost control of the entire Congress. And it was a huge election, a huge defeat for Democrats, a huge victory for Republicans, and it was totally unexpected. And I asked a friend of mine who was very high up in politics, when did we know that we might be in trouble as Democrats heading into that election? And I forget exactly, but I want to say he told me one House of Congress, it was maybe 2 or 3 months before that we knew we might be in trouble. The other House of Congress was maybe 6 weeks before the election that we knew we might be in trouble. And I was saying, so you're telling me like 4 months before the election in one House, it was clear Democrats were going to win. No question. Yep. And they didn't win. In the other House, 7 weeks before the election, so less than 2 months, it was clear Democrats were going to win. No question. Yep. And Democrats lost. That for me, that's the similar lesson I would take on the Ukraine front, where you write off a country as being weak and you assume the other country's strong, and maybe you shouldn't assume. And in this case, we would have come to Ukraine's aid. We would have come to Ukraine's aid if we thought that Ukraine could have won it. And we didn't think Ukraine could win. And that's why we didn't come to their aid, because we thought it was useless. I mean, we gave them some weapons and stuff, but we pretty much thought it was useless, and it wasn't. That, to me, maybe that's the most, or certainly the most interesting lesson. But thank you, NATO, for that. NATO bot, I should say NATO. Tyson, there was a photo posted of a Russian helicopter crash and they had a dryer on board. Get out of here. Get out of here. She's saying that there was a photo posted of a Russian helicopter crash and the pilot basically had a stolen dryer on board, like a washer dryer. Jeez. Probably stolen. Yeah, probably. He probably didn't pick it up to bring it home to the wife from the local store. Harvey says BBC is reporting that Kherson partisans, Kherson is the town in southern Ukraine, north of Crimea, that the Russians are now occupying. That partisans have been setting up children protection squads because the Russians have apparently been rounding up groups of children for unknown reasons. Jesus Christ. They're rounding them up to take them back to Russia. And my guess is, you're rounding them up and you know what, too? They'd be rounding them. Think of what the Enzis would do. They round up the kids and say, we've got your kids. They're being taken care of. But if we have any kind of partisan activity, meaning, guerrilla warfare or anything, we can't promise your kids are coming back. These guys are just... Jesus Christ. And that's from the BBC. Jesus Christ. Wow. That's a really good question. I don't know. Laka is asking Laka's asking, it's a good, oh, wait a minute. It's not letting me actually highlight your question. I hate when it does that. I don't think I can highlight, or can I? The current question will be replaced. No, this is the question. Yeah, I don't think I can actually highlight a question, can I? I like your question, but anyway. Oh, I guess I pinned it, whatever. Oh, I guess I did pin it. Okay. How did Russia take Crimea so easily? I don't really know. And that's a really interesting question. And I would love some of the Ukrainian scholars to sort of come at some point and explain what happened in 2014. Now, mind you, it was a different Ukraine back then. Since 2014, there was massive investment in the Ukrainian military. The U.S. did a lot of training with maybe NATO too, but the U.S. did a lot of training of the Ukrainian military. They've got a lot of weapons and manpower brought in. So a lot of weapons, brought in. So, it is possible at the time the Ukrainians just thought, there's no way we can win this. What are we going to do? And I'm sure they did. The big Russia comes in and you go, ugh. But I forgot. Somebody had told us recently. Didn't we ask somebody this question? I don't know. It wasn't Yulia. I'm trying to think. But anyway, I don't remember the answer to that. But that's my guess. Is that at the time the UK was training a lot too. Okay. Yep. But I don't know. Yeah. See, if I was going to say so Yulia would. I shouldn't say Yulia would know, but I'm assuming Yulia would know more than I do because actually she would know because she's got the historian background as well to all of this. Exactly. So she should know the history of 2014 better. But I don't know. That's a good question. Let me see here. I was saying because PB&J had put up something. The Ukrainian government has announced that Russian forces in Donbass are outnumbering Ukrainian armed forces by 7-1. Maybe. Ukraine had 700,000? Yeah. No. Ukraine, I'm forgetting the numbers, but no. That's getting to sort of this larger mobilization figure that's something different. I don't remember Ukraine's numbers, but no. Was Russia always like 2-1 or something, or 1.5-1 to the Ukrainians or something? And you had Russians dying at a much more significant rate than Ukrainians as well. But that 700,000 is something different. I don't know what it is, but it's something different. Oh wow, the bad guys got through. The one day that we don't get that our buddy is gone? The one day that Syndicate isn't here, the crazies come through. Wow. Sorry, just dealing with the really nasty nasties. There we go. They're gone. I just kind of have to wonder, who clicks on these links? Sorry, we had on YouTube, the weird, thank you, Silver, the weird sex site spam stuff. And I never understand, my nationality. Well, that's a funny question. It's American, but where I grew up in Chicago, when we asked somebody their nationality, it meant your ethnicity. My ethnicity is Greek. But in Chicago, where I'm from, we'd say, what's your nationality? And we'd mean like me. I'm Greek. You're Italian, even though we're all Americans. And I moved out here to the East, and I'd ask people their nationality, and they'd be like, I'm American. And I'm like, I know you're American, but where's your family from? So yes, my family is from Greece. Oh, Daniel, hey, sorry. I saw yours and it flitted by when I was talking. One moment, Daniel. Did we not block or remove at least all the Looney Tunes people, or am I just seeing it on mine? I'm just seeing it on mine then. Okay, hopefully they're gone. Daniel, do you think U.S. artillery will make a real difference on the battlefield for Ukraine? The experts seem to think it will. I expected that the M777 howitzers and counter-artillery radar was going to let the Ukrainians pound the Russians from a safe distance. Yes. Here's the thing with that. So the U.S. artillery, there's two things coming in, as Daniel's saying. One is much better artillery, and the artillery guns are those big, long, almost like a tank gun. You know what I mean? It looks like a tank gun with the shield defending it, and can shoot I don't even want to guess, because people told us before, was it 25 miles maybe, or something like that. And the U.S. artillery can shoot significantly farther than the Russian artillery. And the advantage of that is going to be, when it's in place finally in Ukraine, you are going to be basically, if both sides are firing at each other, all Ukraine has to do is back up a little, and Ukraine can go like this and hit the Russians, but the Russians can go like this and they fall short because the Russian artillery can't go as far as the American artillery. So very important. What General Hertling, who I adore, has been saying, and he is the American general, former general, who I follow a lot for stuff. 25 miles for the M777. Okay, there you go. The American general, a foreign general who I turn to a lot. He was the head of the U.S. Army in Europe, so he'd be up on these things. Hertling was saying it is going to take some time to get the U.S. artillery in place so that the Ukrainians can start using it. They were being trained first in how to use it, and that training, I believe, has now totally happened, and now the trainers are training people around Ukraine. I thought I read somewhere, unless I'm mixing this up with something else, that there may only be Hertling's amazing. I love it. He's on CNN all the time, and he's on Twitter, and he's really nice. Like he will, if he's got time, he'll answer your questions on Twitter. I had asked him what culmination was because he mentioned it on CNN and used it in a tweet, and he was very nice and explained it. I mean, seems like a very nice man. I liked him just from that, being able to interact with him. But in any case, Hertling was saying it's going to take some time to get the guns in place, A, to get the troops in place who are trained on the guns, and B, to get the guns there. He was saying, and I don't know how logistics works in this case, but he was saying it's not just like the gun arrives, Amber and JR, thank you for both of those. It's not like the gun arrives and you just drive it and it's there. Because it doesn't work that way. You know, you've got a bunch of these guns and they've got to be dropped in different places. And thank you, Poppy, for that. And it takes time. So that's the first thing. So it's not clear. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. I thought I read that only 12 of the American guns might be in operation. There's 90 artillery, as I recall, I believe around 90. And I believe all 90 have arrived, but they may not be in place. John's allergies do make his head itch. This is true. So they may not be in place. That's the first thing. The radar is also significant because we're giving them radar that is the radar that allows them, if I'm not incorrect here, the radar that allows the Ukrainians to see where the artillery is coming from on the Russian side and basically hit it. So, you know, the artillery from the Russian side, let's pretend it's right here, and it comes and goes, boom. You want your radar to be able to identify and go, oh, that's where the artillery is. Go hit it. And it can hit it. Really important. So this stuff will make a difference, but I think the reason you're seeing it not make a difference is it's still slowly coming online, and a lot of it isn't yet. Thank you, Amber, for that. It isn't yet. The Switchblade drones are effective against the T-72 if they're the right Switchblade drones. It was funny. I got into a little fight with somebody on on TikTok in the comments because I mentioned the Switchblade drones and tanks. Maybe there was a video of it taking out a tank, and it was like a Switchblade could never take out a tank. And I was like, well, according to what I've read, you've got two kinds of Switchblades. You've got a smaller one and a bigger one. The smaller one has a smaller explosive force in the front of it, and it is used for taking out individuals. So you would use it, for example, at taking out somebody in the driver's seat of a truck or a general who you know is on his cell phone. You would use that Switchblade for that. You would use the larger one with the larger payload for taking out a tank. And correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I read that the 600, exactly, Panzer is weighing in, the 600 Switchblade has the warhead is the same warhead that's on the Javelin. That is the shoulder weapon that, remember St. Javelin, the weapon they're using to destroy all the tanks. So yeah, and Panzer's agreeing with me. That's what I had read. So yes, what I did not see is how many of each Switchblade are they getting. And when I first saw they were getting Switchblades, I was like, okay, which ones? Because I knew about the two of them, right? So that's I don't know, Panzer, have you seen or has anybody seen how many of each Switchblades they're getting, 300 versus the 600? And again, the 300 is for personnel and light things, exactly. And the 600 is anti-armor, where it can blow up tanks and things like that. I don't know if anybody, just real quick, I'll wait. Does anybody weigh in? Do you know how many we're getting of each or not? Or how many Ukraine's getting? In the meantime, can Ukraine win or will they lose land? You know, it all depends how you define win. But, oh, sorry, really quick. Raymond saying he thinks they're getting 100 of the 600 and 600 of the 300. So 600 are the ones that are like anti-personnel, and 100 of the ones that can be anti-tank, which is good. Now, I've been curious. Let me ask you guys, Ray and Panzer and some of the rest of you, what do you use the anti-personnel switchblade for? I was trying to understand that, like, what's the advantage of that? You know, I mean, I guess, like I said, I was saying with the general on the phone, but in practical purposes, you don't normally have a general on a phone, and you don't care about hitting one soldier, really. So what would you use it for normally? What would be the advantage of a 300 switchblade? I mean, trenches? Interesting. Okay. Because you get more damage in the trenches. Cassie, I see yours. I will get to it shortly. Fear, to take out the supply line, machine gun nests. It's a flying grenade. Okay. Destroying high-value targets, except that it's the 300, though, is my point. So it's not into a group of troops. Okay, that's interesting. I do see a couple questions coming in, so I'm saving them just while we're looking at the answer here. Okay, light vehicles for AP munitions. Okay. Unarmored vehicles. That's interesting, too. Okay, just curious. That's interesting. Okay. All right. Just curious. Excuse me. All right. Cassie. Let me see here. Yep. Cassie. Oh, wait. I've got Cassie, Harvey, and wait a minute. Up. And I see, I thought there was another Daniel. Am I crazy? No, there was one Daniel. There's one Daniel. Okay. Cassie and Harvey. Cassie. Do you think Russia is trading a lot? Let me look here really quick. Last little suggestions they're making. So damage, sensitive equipment like S-300 anti-air. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. All right. Interesting. Okay. So there is a lot you can use just the personnel one that isn't just personnel against. Good. That's good to know. Do you think Russia is trading a lot of troops and equipment for gains? Yes. But they won't be able to sustain their advance at this pace. Yes. Oh, that everyone's saying that at this point. The advance is not advancing more than the next few weeks, all the experts are saying. And that's why they think Russia's kind of making this big push now to get a couple more towns. But Hertling, again, the general I like, but not just Hertling. But he's been saying he thinks this is happening pretty soon in the next few weeks, that Russia's hitting the point where they culminate, where they can no longer maintain the offensive, and then they become defensive, and the Ukrainians get to pick where they go after them. So they're almost at that point now anyway. Absolutely. So and they are trading a lot of troops and equipment for these gains. And then the question becomes, how good will they be at digging in and defending the land? You know, that's the question. Oh, sorry. And then there was Javi. Sorry about that. In a creepy new contest, commas are your friend, Harvey. As your editor, I will tell you. In a creepy new contest, the Kremlin have organized a contest for young children. This is something we enjoy with the Brits versus the Americans. One of us makes something plural and the other makes it singular. So Harvey's got the Kremlin have. We would say the Kremlin has. We do this with like the media. I would never say the media have. We'd say the media has, and the Brits, you must say have, but they go plural and we go singular. It's a kind of a funny difference between us. So the Kremlin have organized a contest for young children called Z Patriot, oh God, where children submit artwork. Creepy drawings with wording saying, kill the NZs has been released, 100% indoctrination. It's a really screwed up country. I'm sorry, it's a screwed up country. It really is. There's just, God, go to hospital. I know about that one too. I know we say the hospital. Harvey, what do I even say? It's a really messed up country, you know? Yeah, it's a messed up country. Let me just get rid of these. Beep. Oh, actually, the other thing, we'll go back to these in a second. The other thing is, which I learned by actually reading, I've got a wonderful book called like The History of the English Language or something like this. It's a very interesting book, but I've got to read it again because I read the first half and it got a little hard, but it goes all the way back to the Anglo-Saxons, which was really interesting. But it mentions something that I did not realize that the Brits don't say. And apparently It's archaic English that stayed in America because we broke off of England, but it is something that stuck with us, and the English don't use it anymore. But we say have. Like I'd say, I've gotten really tired of doing these broadcasts every night, right? I've gotten, right? And I think the Brits would say, what would you say? I got really tired. What would you say? I think you'd say I've got really tired, right? You don't say the 10. It's the 10 that we say. Correct me if I'm wrong here, British folks, but it's the TEN. It's like gotten. Yeah, I've got. There you go. Yeah, we say gotten. So I'd say I've gotten really tired. I've gotten a lot of mail recently. You know, I've gotten a lot of free time. But yeah, you say got. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it was just an interesting little thing. And I don't know what other, I'd have to think what other words are like that. But gotten is one. Yeah, exactly. We say it all wrong. But I just thought it was a funny thing when I learned that. I was like, get out of here. But the fact was, it was from older English and it stuck here. So it wasn't something we changed. It was just something we preserved in English, which is kind of interesting. You know? Depends if you're being formal or not. Got is more casual. Oh, so you might still say, so gotten is kind of James, you are an audience of one, but we love you. We can say, I put your comment up so at least everyone on YouTube is seeing you. We love you anyway, James. Audience of one over at LinkedIn. I never quite know how many people are on LinkedIn, but I throw it up just for fun because who knows, you know? That's interesting though about gotten though, that you would say gotten is something more formal in English, potentially. Interesting. Huh. That's interesting. It's really interesting because we learned British English. Nicolina says, and I always forget Nicolina, I want to say Denmark. I will never remember exactly where you are, but I think it's Denmark or Sweden. I should know by Olofsson, but I'm really bad with my Scandinavian. I'm already forgetting. No, I think you're Denmark, aren't you? You're going to be in Sweden, one of them. It's really interesting because we learned British English in school here, but I think media makes us speak American English. Interesting. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, you've got to learn one of them. We do use gotten. So who uses gotten? Reality check. Which one are you saying? Sweden. Okay, sorry about that. I'm terrible at these things. English friends told me once they don't say badass. Badass is a funny expression. I like badass. Oh, Moonmia. I always forget about you too, Moonmia. I don't forget. I usually watch on YouTube or TikTok. Oh, okay. How mom changed to mom. Well, there's a lot of those kind of things I find fascinating. I mean, we were already hitting the quarter after mark. I'm happy to do another question or two anyway, but we were already almost at the quarter after mark when we were getting into this linguistic thing. I find linguistics fascinating. I've never studied linguistics. I don't know whether I would find them too uptight to study, but I find it fascinating. You know, what fascinates me too is, when did the American accent become American? Where did we get our accent from? You know, like, why don't we talk like British people? Now, mind you, I guess the accents were probably different anyway back then. Now, one thing that interests me, well, Lindsay, you got your bachelor's in linguistics. Why does the American accent sound so different than the Brits? Answer that. Because it's to, what was I going to say about the accent thing? Actually, I know what I was going to say. I'm surprised because there is the occasional British accent. And I want to say, I had even asked once or whatever, where this person was from or whatever, and it was a British accent from, I want to say, Southwest England. And to me, it almost sounded like a New England accent here in the States. It sounded American to me, but almost New England American, whether it was Kennedy or some other, but it was American to me, and it surprised me. And it almost made me wonder if a lot of you say gotten from Finland. Okay, interesting. But it almost made me wonder whether a lot of the original English who came over, the Pilgrims, were from southwestern England. In other words, whether they were from a very specific part of England where the accent came with them, or did they really come from all over England? I don't remember well enough the Pilgrims, whether they were everywhere or whether they were just from one area. So they brought, although the Pilgrims, then it changes from the Pilgrims anyway. You know what I mean? Because then you've got, from there, my God, that's 1492. So you still had right? 14, 15, 16. You still had 300 years almost till the American Revolution. So it still was changing from there on too. You know, sorry, what's Harvey saying? A lot of East Anglia people moved to New England. Is East Anglia down there? What I'm describing, like Southwest England? Yeah. But the accent and stuff, I mean, and again, I can hear in American accents where the immigration makes a difference. For example, an accent in Minnesota absolutely starts to adopt somewhat of a Scandinavian sound to an American ear if you listen. If you listen carefully, you go, yeah, there's a little bit of a Scandinavian to it, right? I'm from Chicago. We've got much more of a harsh, ethnic accents. You will hear Italian Americans have an accent that almost makes you think Italian sometimes. Greeks, certainly. I mean, I know Greeks. There's a Greek guy in my neighborhood, and I laugh because he's Greek American, born here. But to me, he's got a Greek accent in his English, and it almost makes me laugh because his accent is just Greek. And it's the funny, but he's American, born here, but his parents were Greek. So you've got a lot of that influence. Obviously, America is very weird with the accents because we're so multicultural that it's just, very broad black country accent. Or back country, do you mean? Do you mean back country or black country? Black country would be kind of cool, actually. Norwegian immigrants in Minnesota. I forget, is Minnesota Norwegian? I think it's Norwegian. I think so. I think that's the ones. Although there may be Swedes, or are Swedes more Wisconsin, I think, maybe? Black country. Okay, I don't know the expression. Yeah, but I know there's a lot of Scandinavians in Minnesota for sure. Yeah. I didn't play with Memrise yet. I've got it on my phone, but I've still got to play with it. But that's interesting. Yeah, Pittsburgh. Anyway, it's a mainly German and Scandinavian. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, now we're already segueing over, so we might as well segue over to our post discussion where we hang out and just talk about fun stuff. For example, where I'm from in the Chicago area, I didn't really know until I went to just for fun, I went to the local, hi, Aquila. Oh, good to see you again. I remember your name because I wasn't sure if I pronounced it correct, whether it was Aquila or whether it was Aquila Soni or something, like one long name. Where I'm from in the Chicago area, I went to our historical society. Wisconsin's German. Okay, because we are too. We're German. I'm not German, but our area is German. Oh, Linda. Oh, hi, Linda. Our area is German, and I had no idea. I mean, I guess why not? But it was very, very, very German up until, turn of the century or so. Are you gonna? Okay, this is actually good. Yulia, are you gonna? Are you here? Oh, let me take off my mic. So somebody so good timing because now we're in our hanging period anyway. Sorry, Yulia's joining us again. We're in our hanging out period we do at the end. Normally we don't talk politics, but this isn't quite this is kind of politics anyway, but what do you do? Hold on, I'm turning you to see if the computer folks at least can see a little bit of Yulia. There you go. The question, hello everybody. We're getting the streamers come at you. The question somebody was asking, and I was thinking you probably would have an idea, is keep this to a 5 to 10 minute answer rather than because it could go on forever, but what happened the first time around in 2014? The question was really, why didn't the Ukrainians fight in 2014 for Crimea? If they could do all of this, or couldn't they do all of this?
Okay, so we could not do all of this because effectively our prior president, Viktor Yanukovych, the one who led, and the one who basically, there was this idea that there was a coup. There wasn't a coup because there was a potential for a coup if he would not have resigned because we wanted to impeach him, but he fled anyway. Right. And so he effectively destroyed our army because he was a puppet for Vladimir Putin. So right. Putin effectively had a plan to do that to Crimea and had a plan to do that to Donetsk and Luhansk. Right. And so they knew, and they effectively, our army was garbage.
Oh, genuinely. It was? Okay. Back then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was genuinely garbage. And the reason why they couldn't repel the Donetsk attack and Luhansk attack, and they didn't even try for Crimea, is because they knew they couldn't handle it.
Okay.
Because Russia came into Crimea and they basically surrounded it. The entirety of Crimea was covered in Russian troops and Russian fleet. And so our fleet that existed at that point just left and left them all of the gear.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't have handled it.
They'd just be destroyed. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Petro Poroshenko was not like the next president tried to do something with the army, but then now there is, I don't know if you saw this, but Medvedchuk, the super corrupt Ukrainian politician who was in the pro-Russia
of course,
party.
the guy the Ukrainians captured that they're talking about trading him or whatever. Yeah.
They're not going to trade. I don't think they're going to trade him because he's a little too valuable for his testimony and like evidence and stuff, which I don't know if I can call it evidence because, well, who's going to trust him?
Right.
The only reason I believe in what he's saying is because I think that Petro Poroshenko is effectively garbage too.
Right.
But he basically, he's been saying that Poroshenko has been trading coal from LDPR and stuff, which is treason, that he has basically purchased part of our state pipeline and made like $45 million on it.
Right.
And so he has been, like, it looks like he has been doing a lot of insider trading with Russia. So
I'm sorry, but who are we talking about? Poroshenko?
Yeah.
Oh, that's bad. Okay. And that was the guy before Zelensky. Right.
Yeah, that's like the thing. See, Poroshenko did some good stuff. Like, he canceled out visas to Europe. He got us a no visa regime. And he has like kind of done good things, but they don't negate like things that he's been doing behind the scenes because he is very corrupt. And then also, for those of you who didn't know, like Roshen, a huge Ukrainian chocolate company and like candy company, Poroshenko's because Roshen.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, super bad level. Right.
And so
go on. Oh, that's
he had he had factories in Belarus and Russia, and he had never closed them following the 2014 invasion. And he has been making a lot of money in Russia. So it's like, if you're going to claim yourself, European and say that you're against Russia, you're not going to be doing business with them.
Right.
But he's been making money as president and like strengthening his connections and stuff, and it's like good on paper. Right. And now that everybody, especially in the Western world, is like, oh, he looks so good. Look at all of this war I've been doing. It's like very, very, very.
Let me ask you this then. So, did most of the modernization happen under Zelensky?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. How long has Zelensky been president? 4 years or what?
3 years.
3? Okay. Go on, yeah.
Honestly, like Poroshenko started some of it, like again, the no visa regime, the relationships with Europe. Like on paper, he was very pro-Europe, and he did do some pro-Europe things. But at the same time, he still kept his like very decent money-making relationship with Russia.
Okay.
And Zelensky, modernization happened under Zelensky for a couple of reasons. All of his cabinet of ministers is like in their 40s, and they're all very social media savvy and very like savvy. Our Minister of Cybersecurity, and I'll never be tired of repeating this, is like a genius. He's one of the reasons why this.
Oh, I know. He's great. Yeah.
The guy who messaged Elon Musk and was like, "Yo, dude, we need Starlink."
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Is it Dmitro? What's his name? I mean, I know that's the other guy, but isn't this one Dmitro too or not?
Fedorov. Fedorov is his last name.
What's his first name?
I think it's. Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah. He's great. Yeah.
Awesome. I honestly.
So he looks like he's probably 30 or 2 or something, isn't he? He's got to be younger.
I think he might be like 38. His late 30s, early 40s.
Okay. Then I'll be a little less jealous. He's really good. Yeah.
No, he's honestly.
Cool.
All of his ministers are like very, very, very savvy people.
Yeah.
And most of the industries like IT started blossoming under Zelensky, like really up.
Right.
So we've been like doing good under him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have covered this in a couple of my lives, but so we have this app called Dia, which essentially means action. And so you log into this app, you have your international passport in there, your ID, your driver's like taxpayer ID, security, basically like your children's vaccination cards, medicine. You can pay your taxes through that app. You can pay for electricity. You can pay for gas. Like all of these crazy things. You can donate to the army now. You can connect your like Monobank account to it, and you can do like It's like insane. It's a one-stop shop for anything you ever need. Like you need a new and you're like, yo, my driver fired, and you can. It's like it's so technologically forward, and I feel like country who have that, and it's crazy to me that that's like Ukraine that did that, but that's That's all accomplishment.
Yep. No, it's funny. The other country that has really been ahead of things is Estonia, because I mean, in terms of technology, internet, and all that crazy stuff going back 10 plus years. I mean, crazy stuff they were doing. I mean, crazy as in like this kind of nutsy where you go, oh my God. But yeah, I knew they were doing some kind of online passport ID thing. It was in the paper in the last day here, actually, but I didn't know it did all those things. That's interesting. Okay.
It does absolutely everything. So when you were getting, so you know how you had stimulus checks
right
for pet. So Ukraine had for the war, like
right.
Every citizen is entitled to 6.5 thousand hryvnias.
Right.
I think now. And so you literally submit your application in the app, and then it deposits it to your bank account through the app once it's like approved.
Right. That's cool. Yeah, because we were getting checked. I mean, some of us, it got through the banks. Other people got checks. It was, and then trying to keep track of, they had to send us a piece of paper from the government to tell us how much money we actually got for our taxes. It was just like, anyway, you know.
Yeah.
Any case.
And also,
yeah.
Like, you want to get your driver's license, you go to dmv.org. If you want to get this, you go to this.org, and it's 50 million. Here you have everything in.
Oh, let me ask you a different question, only in case you know. And again, I don't want to go too much longer because I've already been an hour and a half, and this is my chill period, and then I hang up. But I will ask you one more question. Somebody was asking, and it was a good question. Why do we keep hearing them say? Okay, first of all, they were talking about the million man army in Ukraine, but I know it wasn't really a million man army, and they were saying, well, they're actually almost already there. Blah blah blah. What is or isn't the number of Ukraine? Like, how big is the military or isn't it in Ukraine? Because I thought it was more on order with what the Russians were, you know, like 200,000 or whatever it was.
It's now 100,000 people.
It's how many?
It's now 700,000 Ukrainians and over 20,000.
Okay.
But not all of them are actively in combat right now because like the majority of these are getting trained.
Okay, that's a different question. Okay.
Those were volunteers who volunteered to be in the army, but now 700,000 Ukrainian men are a part of the army.
Okay, fair enough. Then that sort of answers the question, because this also gets to some degree to answer, I'm forgetting who was asking me, the issue of the Russians too, because they were talking about the Russian mobilization. Oops, your connection's coming in and out a little bit, just so you know. You blinked and you kind of sat there for 15 seconds blinking. It was cute. You were like, asleep. But I know talking about the mobilization and how these may be new people coming in who are newly trained, and it's not the same thing as the current combat ready, active military, etc. Okay, fair enough. That's the difference in numbers then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not like current combat. It's just like it's potential combat power because they're being trained.
Which is still important because exactly this is going to keep going on, and they need to be, well, we'll see what happens next. All right, guys, I am not in the mood to do too many more questions here, to be honest. Just because this is my like I said, my cooling down period. I officially stopped the hard stuff at 15:15. But I did somebody tell you? I did want to ask you about this. Is that why you came? Did somebody mention we wanted to ask you about the 2014? Okay, good.
Live, I was watching, and then
okay, perfect. Well, somebody tagged your name, and I said, "Oh, that's right. Let her know." And I don't see everybody commenting, but anyway, that's good. All right. Well, thank you. Unless anybody else has another question to throw really quick, I don't mind one more question, but then I want to wind down. I always hate throwing that out there though, because then it like takes 5 minutes for the. Oh, you're getting. I didn't see it. You're getting sunflowers on my end. Whenever we have a Ukrainian that comes in the comments, we throw sunflowers at them. So you're getting lots of sunflowers showered at you. I didn't see that. That's cute. That's sweet. I'll just look here really quick at my YouTube, etc. But I wasn't okay. Of course, we didn't explain to people. All right, somebody else is telling them. Thank you. Somebody goes, "Who's he talking to?" So yes, she's well, actually, how would you describe yourself? Ukrainian historian? What are you? I mean, what do you?
Well, I'm a Ukrainian product designer who went to a history-intensive school my whole life in Ukraine.
Okay.
And I know a lot about Ukrainian politics and history. And so when this war started, I kind of posted a rant on, a factual rant about why diplomacy is not going to work with Putin. It blew up, and then people were asking me a lot of questions. So I started answering. So now I guess I'm a Ukrainian quote-unquote creator.
No, that's good though. But you are. That's good. You know, I mean, clearly, but you've got a lot of insight into this stuff anyway, so that's good. So no, this is good. All right, I'm gonna go because I'm gonna do my recap where I just reiterate the stories and then go. I want to chill. All right, thank you for coming by, honey. Appreciate it.
Talk to you
And
soon.
again, you have to disconnect because I don't know how to disconnect. So,
I will disconnect.
all right, thank you. Bye. Oops. Well, that was fun. There, now we've got our answer. Sorry about that, folks. Yes, I kept thinking, I always think you're the same crowd every night. Yeah, so Yulia had joined us the other night, Ukrainian, who is her own TikTok phenom. And sorry, real quick here. So, CB, you were saying Washington Governor Jay Inslee tested positive for COVID. Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah, let me do the recap, and then we can be done with this. So the recap, I didn't do the recap? I didn't do the recap. Okay. Texas school shooting. The Ukrainians are, well, okay, the siege of Severodonetsk. It looks like the Russians may be able to take it, but even if they take it, they're going to be in real trouble trying to occupy the town because they're going to run into some major urban warfare. Putin is fast-tracking citizenship for people in Kherson and Zaporizhia, two regions north of Crimea that he's trying to annex. More threats of nuclear war from Russia, blah, blah, blah. The Defense Intelligence Agency says fewer than 40% of Russian missiles hit their targets, and 20 to 30% of Russian missiles fail to launch or crash in flight, which that's sort of my favorite fact of the day. The European oil embargo on Russia may be agreed to, the European Union, by May 30th or not. Hungary still causing problems. Israel turned down a U.S. request to approve missile supplies to Ukraine. Russia is offering to cease its embargo of Ukrainian ports and therefore its embargo of wheat, needing to go around the world in exchange for the West lifting sanctions. The U.S. and the Brits told Russia to idinahui. I'm close. The Germany plans to order its coal-fired power plants that it was going to shut down, or that were due to be shut down, to be placed in reserves just in case they need them because of this whole Russia energy situation. Marks and Spencer, is that it? The British retailer said it is exiting all of its business in Russia now for good, which is fabulous. And the U.S. is ending a waiver it was doing on Russian debt that is over my head. But bottom line, it means it's going to make it very difficult, if not impossible, for the Russians to pay their debt, which pushes them into a default, which causes all sorts of problems for them if they ever want to get any other loans. It makes them expensive. It makes them very hard to get, etc. So it's not good for Russia if that happens. And Melissa, thank you for that. All right. Oh, my mic. Sorry. Oh, well, that's right. Well, you could hear. Yeah, we'll do that. I will do that, although I'm not going to stay on much longer, but hang on. Yes, I had to pull my mic out so I could do the Yulia chat. There we go. Much better. All right. Anyway, I ain't got much else, folks. Like I said, another minute, I think, and I'm going to sign off. It's already 38 after the hour here, so thank you. And thank you for my gilded circle of flowers. We missed Syndicate today. He's usually so bubbly here. He's another font of wisdom. Also, he's my unofficial tech guy. I did not get sun today, but what happened? Well, it depends which one you're looking at. I made some Greek tzatziki, and I did put a little garlic in it because I love garlic, but I'm allergic to garlic. So, when I eat garlic, my face turns red, so it probably makes me look like I got. Although we did walk the dog for maybe half an hour in the sun, 20, 30 minutes. So that gave me some sun too. But Julia's TikTok handle is, tell me again, folks, is it, tell me again, is it YEWLEEAA, maybe? YEWLEEA. There we go. YEW, L as in Larry, EEA. Correct. Somebody's sharing it. Motec just shared it. That is correct what it is. Yes. And she's on other devices as well and uses that handle, as I recall. So you can look around for other things too. Jay, the TikTok I can run with my screen off, so I run there. Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Whatever works is cool. Sasha is being quiet tonight. This is true. It's very interesting since she's usually begging. Although, well, oops, did I pull the mic off me again? I know she's usually begging at this point. I'm a little surprised. A little surprised. She's sleeping somewhere, so who knows? All right, guys. I know it's. I love garlic, being Greek and all, and I would like really eat a lot of garlic, but now I'm very careful. So, thank you, guys. Oh my God! All right, now I'm going to yawn at you all. All right. Ugh. Mom did not. Although I talked to Mom earlier today, that's why Mom didn't call. So Mom didn't need to call. There was a tornado warning back home, and I was worried, so I called her. And Mom was like, "Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Mom, it's a tornado warning," but. You know, DC is gorgeous. The next couple days is absolutely gorgeous. It's 66 degrees. It actually is like partly cloudy right now. So your wife, Nancy, is arriving at a perfect time. The temperature is going to be in the 60s and night, at least for several days, which is nice. So that will be lovely. Vampire. Who's the vampire? Yeah. All right, guys. All right, I'm going to sign off. All right, music for the sign off. I'm trying to be careful with the music thing, too. I'm just anything that'll piss TikTok off. I'm trying not to piss TikTok off. All right, guys. All right, TikTok, as soon as I see you guys saying bye-bye, then I will know that you've gotten the goodbye message because TikTok is always about 20 seconds behind. They're a little slow, but we love them. And you guys on YouTube, thank you. Same thing tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S., midnight Paris. Syndicate may be joining us if he's finished with the motherly visit, but maybe not. And thank you, exactly. Thank you, moderators. I got to witness the excuse me. I got to witness the glory of the moderators. We had lots of little creepy trolls today. So thank you, moderators. All right, guys. All right. Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Our party of one over at LinkedIn. All right. Bye, guys. Get that. And you too.